everyone, I'm here today with my December TBR. You'll probably have noticed that we didn't actually film a November TBR because we knew we were going to try and read The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, and that book is chonky, so we didn't want to give ourselves too many goals just in case we couldn't hit them. But December's coming up and I'm really excited for Christmas, and so we've got some kind of comfortable reads. So I've got some rereads in this pile, I've got some like wintry reads. I'm actually really excited to get to some of them, so I'm looking forward to December starting so we can just jump in there. We were only picking 10 books this month because we're actually due another arrival at some point soon. So we might not be reading as much as we have been the last few months, but we don't know. It could be late, could be early, so we're going to do what we can until everything just goes out the window. So let's get into it. So the first book that I want to read in December is Winterwood by Shea Ernshaw. Now, I'm an Owlcrate subscriber, and this is the Owlcrate exclusive edition. It came in the November box, and it is so gorgeous. Like, look how beautiful this is. Like, even under the cover. Oh, Owlcrate do the best special editions, and I think like as soon as this came, I was so excited and I knew I had to pick it up in December. So Shea Ernshaw is the author of The Wicked Deep, which I read in October, gave 5 stars to, and could not wait to get to Winterwood as soon as I'd finished it. So now that it's actually here, I know I'm going to be getting to this one this month. She has a real skill for bringing places to life and making them into a character of their own. So the fact that this is about an enchanted forest sounds like it's going to be exactly up my street, and I'm definitely thinking this one's going to be another 5 star. The next book that I'm hoping to read in December is Northern Lights by Philip Pullman. I actually started reading Northern Lights last April. It was just after I'd given birth, and it did not end well. Trying to feed a 2-month-old while holding a book this heavy doesn't really work, so I'm probably going to end up borrowing an e-copy from the library instead, because this is a gorgeous edition, but it's just not the easiest for holding. It's very big because it has all 3 books in it. The Northern Lights TV adaptation has just started on BBC, so I'm thinking that it might be a good time to kind of finally read this series because everybody's going on about it and it's so hyped at the moment, and Philip Pullman is one of those authors that I can't believe I haven't read any of his work yet. The next book that I'm hoping to read in December is another one that's recently been adapted, and it is Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson and Lauren Miracle. So it's 3 short stories set in a blizzard, I believe, and they all take place on the same night. I don't know if there's any kind of crossover between the characters. I just know that it's short stories, which I love. It's John Green, who is a hit and miss author for me, but I'm willing to give it a go. I've had this copy for as long as I can remember and I've never picked it up. So I think now that the Netflix adaptation is out, this is the perfect Christmas for me to read Let It Snow, finally. The next book that I'm hoping to read in December is The Geography of You and Me by Jennifer E. Smith. Now, this is one of my favourite YA contemporaries. I've read this either 2 or 3 times already and I absolutely adore it. So there is a heatwave and they get stuck in a lift, and then they finally start talking, and then they end up travelling. It's really hard to describe. It's just so wonderful. Lucy and Owen end up getting stuck together in a lift. Then they go their separate ways, but they keep in touch. And even though they only have this one night that kind of binds them together, their friendship blossoms from this night. And I just think it's such a beautiful story. And I don't know what it is, but because I read it right before Christmas a few years ago, it just really puts me in a Christmassy mood every single time. And I was talking to my partner about it the other day, and he said he was kind of interested, so I'm going to read it to him and see what he thinks. He's probably going to hate it, but I hope that I love it as much now as I did when I read it a few years ago. The next book I'm hoping to read in December is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I actually read this a few weeks before I read The Geography of You and Me, way back when I first started blogging. I've been wanting to reread it for a while because I think I want to reread this one before I get to Carry On. And now Wayward Son is out, so I really need to just get on with this. I found this a really quick read before, even though it is quite thick. So I'm hoping, because I'm already familiar with the story and I already love the characters, I'll be able to just fly straight through it and then hopefully enjoy it as much as I did the first time around. The next book I'm hoping to read in December is Oh no. The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, which I've just realised still has the price ticket on it from when I bought it the week it came out. I really should have read this by now. I own all 4 of them and I really should have just read it by now. And it's peeling off all of the glitter from her name. I'm so sad. Why am I doing this? Oh no. Should not have bought a Tesco's copy. So the next book I'm hoping to read in December is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. Now, this is part of the personal challenge I've set myself because I wanted to get all of the books off of my currently reading list on Goodreads this year. That is not going to happen. There are still so many that I picked up in like 2012 and still haven't finished and have not got time to get to by the end of the year. But The Raven Boys is one of my best friend's favourite books, and so she keeps going on at me to read it. Call Down the Hawk has just come out, so she keeps going on at me to read it so that I can then move on with the new series that Maggie's releasing with these same characters. I've heard amazing things about it. I don't know why I keep putting it off, but hopefully this month I will get to it because I've been thinking about picking it up for a few months and I just still haven't gotten to it. I don't know why. What's wrong with me? The next book that I'm hoping to read in December is Winter Stories by Enid Blyton. As I said about Let It Snow, I love short stories, so I think a nice little children's collection will be a really quick read. Hopefully, if my brain is a bit frazzled after baby arrives, I'll be able to just drop in and out of these stories really easily, and hopefully I'll enjoy them. And it might make it feel like it's cold and snowy outside, even though at the moment it's just wet and sad. The next book that I'm hoping to read in December is Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by David Levithan and Rachel Cohn. This, again, is also being adapted. I believe the adaptation on Netflix comes out next year, but they've recently started filming it, so I've seen a lot of people hyping this up again because it's quite an old book. But basically, there's a book left on the shelf in a bookstore with like a clue in it that sends one of the characters on a treasure hunt, and it eventually kind of leads them together. I've read some David Levithan that I've absolutely loved. I've read some David Levithan that I have detested, so I don't know which side this is going to fall on, but it's really short, so I can definitely take the time to discover how I feel about it. The next book I'm hoping to get to in December is another reread, and it's Red Rising by P.S. Brown, and I mean, who is surprised? This is my favourite book of all time. Any excuse to read Red Rising, and I am right there. I'll be honest, I haven't read Iron Gold or Dark Age yet. I got 100 pages into Iron Gold just before it came out, and I was scared, and I gave up. And then Dark Age came out, and I was still scared. But I'm going to force myself to reread the original trilogy, and then to move on with Iron Gold in the new year. I'm only putting Red Rising on this TBR because I don't want to rush through them. I want to take my time, so I'll try and get to Golden Sun next month. Perhaps later this month if I have enough time. But this is one of my favourite books, and I'm going to be reading it to my partner for the first time, so I'm really hoping that he loves it as much as I do, because otherwise we're going to have to break up, and that's going to be really, really sad. Like, we have a lovely house and a lovely family, but if he doesn't like Red Rising, then he's obviously no good. The last book that I want to get to this month is 10 Blind Dates by Ashley Elston. I've seen a lot of hype about this on BookTube recently. It's a girl whose family organised for her to go on 10 blind dates at Christmas. So I've been saving it for a few weeks to make sure I'm reading it at the right time of year. After she goes through a bad breakup. So it sounds like it's going to be really, really cute, and also it's like so short. So again, it's another quick contemporary that I'll be able to just blast through, and hopefully it won't take too much of my mental energy up. I'm also putting 2 books on a bonus round. So, depending on how it goes, we're also going to be reading Carry On by Rainbow Rowell and The 12 Days of Dash and Lily by David Levithan and Rachel Cohn. Again, very, very short, but this is the Christmassy one, so I want to read this more than I want to read Dash and Lily's Book of Dares, but have to read them in order because they're a series. And as I said, I have wanted to read Carry On for so long. I pre-ordered like 3 copies before it came out, and I got too scared of the hype, so I just left them unread on my shelves. And then I got a copy of Wayward Son, and I was even more scared of the hype, but I'm just going to force my way through these because I've heard they're amazing, and I want to be all caught up before Any Way the Wind Blows comes out, whether that's the end of next year or the year after. I'm not sure what the release schedule is for that one, but I want to make sure that I'm all caught up before that one is out. And that's it for this December TBR. Hopefully we'll be able to get through them all, but you'll be able to see when we film our December wrap up at the beginning of January, or maybe the end of January, because God knows when we're going to have any time to do anything from now on. So if you like these videos, if you want to hit the subscribe button or leave any comments down below. If you're also interested in reading any of these books, we could organise some buddy reads and then you can actually force me to get to them. But that's it for this video and we'll see you next time. Bye!